Alright, how's it going, my squids? Today we're going to be talking about some Xbalanque and wherever the hell you want to play him. Shit, I was just in a game and somebody played this fool in the jungle and we lost so badly. So, you know, however you guys want to ruin my game. Anyway, so Xbalanque's kind of come up a little bit in the tier list. He was like super like B tier, I think, towards like the beginning of this season or even mid-season. He was still pretty ass. And now he's kind of come up a little bit. He's gotten a little bit of buffs. He's seeing a little bit more play. So I think he's in a good spot right now where he's not overly broken, in my opinion. I see a lot of tier lists at the moment and people saying that he's pretty busted, but I don't think so. I just think he's got a lot of damage if you let him get going. But I mean, that can be said about any character in this game, so it is what it is. But with the slight changes to the passive where now it's based off of damage versus kills or whatever it was before, I don't exactly remember, but now it's every 1500 damage that he does to an enemy player, he'll gain a stack of like night something. What the hell is this thing called? It's Dead of Night, and then he'll gain like 5 physical power and you can stack that up 6 times. So it's a very decent passive now. Before I would say it was still practical and it wasn't like, you know, much of a difference in my personal opinion, but this one is a little bit easier to achieve versus the other one, so at least they changed it up and now he's got a little bit more of a chance to do something without having to actually go for kills or whatever you had to do before. But anyway, let's move on to the build. Now you've got a couple options here that you can do for the build. You can go Transcendence build or you can go Executioner build. This is the Executioner build that I normally go, and honestly you're just swapping out Executioner for Transcendence. You don't really want to build one or the other. I know it says like core, but I just don't think that you should build both of them because you're missing out on other items that make more sense with his kit. Now Xbalanque is a crit machine, pretty much the same thing as what Rama is, but I'd say he does it probably far better than Rama. Rama, he doesn't have any crutches to help him land these autos, where Xbalanque, his autos bounce through the minion wave off of enemy characters. You also have the ultimate, which allows you to kind of force an opponent to either stop or stun them, so you have a little bit of room to do a little something, so you kind of have more options with Xbalanque versus Rama. So this is why crit is always good. You want that attack speed, you want that massive damage. You're going to be hitting some big numbers once you actually get full build. Now with the Transcendence build, it's pretty much kind of the same thing, but you're probably going to remove, like, I don't know, one of these attack speed items. Like, you're probably going to get rid of Wind Demon and probably go like Jotuns or something, or even the Crusher, because the Crusher is okay, I guess, on him. I don't think the passive is utilized too well though with it, so maybe not the Crusher, probably the Brawler's Beat Stick or Titan's Bane, something with Armor Pen that makes more sense. But no matter what build you go, you're always going to end up having to build at least 1 or 2 items, including crit, so that just has to be always a fact with Xbalanque. So depending on however you build him, like I said, Transcendence perfectly fine. I don't like to build Transcendence because I don't think I need what Transcendence has. Like, it's just like 10% cooldown. I feel like that goes to waste because 90% of his damage doesn't go off of, it's not cooldown, you know, he's not ability based like Hachiman or Uller, so he doesn't really benefit a whole lot from cooldown reduction in my personal opinion. I mean, aside from like your mobility, but I mean, you're not building items that give you CDR anyway, so what's the point of just having 10%? It just seems like a waste. And on top of that, the passive seems a little whack. You permanently gain 15 mana per stack and receive 5 stacks for a god kill and 1 stack for a minion kill, max 50 stacks. Additionally, 3% of your mana is converted to physical power. He already has a low mana pool as is, and even with this fully stacked, it's really not that great in my personal opinion. So I just like, it just seems like Transcendence is not necessarily a great item on him. And this is again my personal opinion. There's probably, you know, somebody that can utilize this item a lot better than me, but having to stack that, I'm not very good at stacking, even though Xbalanque does have that ability to make that a little bit more less tedious. So it's a bit, it's okay. I won't say it's a bad item, but it's just not for me. So I'll just say that is right now. If you want to go Transcendence, perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. Just me, Executioner works for me. Big numbers is my game, and that's how I want to play it. Now to talk about Odysseus Bow, this is perfectly fine. You can change this for any other item you want. You don't necessarily need this item right here to, you know, make your experience better, because this is like, you know, farm machines. So if you pair this with Transcendence, this will make more sense. But for this, you don't necessarily need it. You could swap this for anything else. You could go the Crusher for that attack speed as well, and you can utilize the passive with like your second and third ability or even your ultimate. So you can do a few different variations, but you don't necessarily need Odysseus Bow when you have already a bunch of attack speed from the Executioner, and then you'll get Wind Demon a little bit later on, or you can get it a little bit earlier, and so on and so forth. So it just kind of, you know, variables here, but I like Odysseus Bow. I think it's a good buy on Xbalanque, so it's not a horrible item. So, you know, it just kind of depends on how you want to play. You want to go farm machine and you want to poke through the wave, or you want to get a little bit more personal, do a little bit more damage early on, so just up to you. As for the last three items, I always go crit. I like to get Rage. Rage has been like my go-to item. It's very affordable. I can stack the passive super easily. It's one of those things that I absolutely love Rage. It is a very cheap crit item that does a lot. Then we go into Wind Demon for the obvious attack speed and critical strike. And then we go into Deathbringer, which, you know, fucking big damage, so yeah. And that pretty much covers the build, so now let's start talking about his abilities. So we have his passive, Dead of Night. I've already kind of explained this. You gain 5 physical power for each 1500 damage you deal before the mitigations. You know, it's basic shit. And then you have a max stack of that, so just do the math, and there you go. Then we have Branching Bola, which is just like, it's just an empowerment. So as you guys can see, the autos, like as you're autoing, it throws like bolas on the side of each side. So it's a good thing to have this because you can farm through the wave, and it helps you kind of poke the enemy down, because if you have Odysseus Bow, not only are they going to take damage from Odysseus Bow, but they're also going to take damage from your first ability. So it's a really good poke through the wave or anybody else, and those can crit, by the way. So it's a very, very interesting way to whittle your opponent down before they try and go in, because they might be looking to engage on you, but if you can manage to like crit them over and over, or, you know, kind of poke them through the wave to where the odds are not in their favor, then you can be the one to engage with your ultimate and then secure some kills with that if your jungler is communicating with you pretty well, and you can use your ultimate to force them to stop, and your jungler can jump them, and then you can jump in there as well and do a lot of damage. I would definitely say that you punish a lot of these low mobility hunters, like such as Amuzencab or Artemis. You can definitely punish them super hard with your ultimate, and being able to poke through the wave, they have no answer for it, because they have to either trade with you efficiently, and that means they have to actually auto you because they don't have the ability to poke through the wave unless they get Odysseus Bow. And even if they do get Odysseus Bow, you're still going to outpoke them because of your first ability. So no matter what, you're always winning trades. Moving on to a second ability is Poison Darts, and this is just a weird ability in my opinion, but yeah, so this slows for 4, 8, 12, 16, 20%. The poison duration is 3 seconds, and basically the enemy can only be hit by 3 darts at max damage, and then another 2 more darts doing 30% damage. So you're not going to get the full effect of this if you shotgun somebody, but essentially that's kind of what you want to do, because you're going to maximize your damage, or else you're not going to get as much damage. But the point is to actually get poison on them and then use your third ability. So your third ability is Rising Jaguar, and this is your escape / chase ability, which I say chase carefully, because if you chase with this, you have no escape unless you have your ultimate. Then you can maybe do a little bit of outplayage, but this is your main escape. It's your main mobility move, and if you blow it too early, well, you might be dead. Now, this might be the best mobility in the game because it goes so far and it does a fuck ton of damage. So if you pair this with your second ability, you gain an additional 30% for poison damage. So this is a very, very good escape / chase move. So if they're really, really low and they're poisoned, you can, you know, even if they're not poisoned, this still has huge range. So you can pop this, hit them with that, jump in, do extra damage, auto, run, whatever. It just kind of, you have a little bit of mechanics to Xbalanque. He's not totally brain dead. I wouldn't even say he's brain dead. He requires quite a bit of aim. So yeah, it's a very interesting ability, and you have to learn when to use it properly, because if you blow it too early, you're gonna die, and if you don't use it at all, you might miss out on a kill, so on and so forth. So it's just kind of up to you how you want to use it, but just be smart with it. Alright, and Xbalanque's last ability is Darkest of Nights, which this is his ultimate. So essentially you gain movement speed when you activate it, going towards whoever, and then your basic attack range increased by 40 feet, and then they get stunned if if they don't stop walking. They have to continuously walk. They can, right before the timer pops out, they can stop and they don't get stunned, and then immediately once the ult is over, they can continue walking. So you have to be aware of that. Yes, they will have to stop for a quick second, but it doesn't really matter, because if you can, you know, jump in there and do a bunch of damage and you're full build, that 1 second is all you need. So essentially, it just pretty much looks like this, where you get your auto attack increase and you can do just so much. Like, you can do a lot. You can do a lot of crazy stuff. Having that auto attack ranged increase is huge. It's essentially just a free Hachiman like first ability, where you have that massive range and then they're forced to stop moving, so you get free damage anyway. You can poison them and then you can pop your 1 to get that extra bit of damage, and then, you know, if they're getting really low, you pop your 3, get in there, get that last hit, and then boom, pop out. And that's essentially how you play Xbalanque. Fairly simple character. There's not much to him. It just requires a bit of aiming, so just make sure you guys are practicing your ADCs, your marksmans, etc. That's all you really need to do. Just aim and you're good to go. This guy is a complete powerhouse. The more damage you have and the more late game it is, it's pretty much over. You can delete somebody in 3 autos if you're that fed and super far ahead. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.